doody out there in YouTube land. Y'all should just park your pickup trucks and get them kids off the four-wheelers. Tell them to bring you an ice cold one and join us right now for a little Ready, Set, Drone fun, cause it's First Friday and everybody's here to have a good time. I see we got a great group of good old boys in the chat tonight. I see Skeeter, Tater, Possum, Billy, Bobby, Ken, and my brother Brad from Virginia. All in the chat and ready to help us get this party started. Welcome all y'all. Hey, and welcome to our lady friend too. I know there's probably only one, but thanks for being here. It is First Friday and it's time to get started, so let me introduce your host, the man with the plan, the guy who can fly, the dude who's rarely rude, Kelly Shore. Yeah!
Every time I see that, I crack up. I got to give big shout out to Sunrise Water Media for putting that together as far as the audio goes on it. And then the emoji, I don't know where that came from. But welcome. First Friday. Actually, first Friday in the second month, February 2022. Can't believe we're already here, that it's already, this time is flying by. I see so many of my friends in the chat. I see Mike Miller. I see Michael Wright. I see Joe Blaylock. I see Alan. I see Idaho Marcus with Idaho Quadcopter. I see Ray Kelly. I saw Sergio earlier. Eat More Possum. Hey, good to see you. Brent, I think is his name. Idaho Quad. I already said that. Yeah, we got a great group tonight, and we have a really good show coming up. I've got Jason Schappert with Remote Pilot 101 is going to be on. We've got some questions for him right here, and then we've got a few other questions that we're going to ask him just as a sort of wild card after we get through these. We've got 2 Minutes of Hope. It's a really good one this month. I'm super excited. I just love that Chris Hope does this every month without fail. I just get it on like the Tuesday before. I don't have to remind him or anything, but it's a good one this time. We've got Subscriber of the Month, and we've got a man who is larger than life, right there. Kai.
Right where?
Right there.
Oh.
What's up, buddy?
Well, howdy.
Yeah, Lone Star UAV. If you haven't already checked out Lone Star UAV on his channel, that's where you go. There is another Lone Star UAV. Did you know that?
Yeah, but he hasn't posted anything in 6 years.
Yeah, I saw he's got like 4 videos and no posts. You need to, and I think he owns the domain.
Nope, I do own the domain.
Well, Lone Star UAV.
Lone Star UAV.
Kai at Lone Star
I
UAV.
own the domain.
All right. If you want to spam him, just Kai at UAV. Just Lone Star UAV. By the
No,
way,
it's still Lone Star UAV at Gmail.
Oh, well, I also want to thank our sponsor, Dr. Pepper, for being so awesome. Here, just listen to
That's
this.
about the only doctor you can afford to see these days.
Oh, nice one. Nice one. I also want to give a big shout out to Chris and Mark, who are here running the show tonight. Yeah. Big applause to them. Much appreciated. So, again, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We are going to have Jason on in just a little bit, but before Jason comes on, I did want to talk a little bit about our recent FPV meetups that we've been having. We have them as a group, and I think, when's the next one?
Next one is February 20th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the Hidden Valley Sports Park in Canyon Lake.
So go to Kai's channel or DM him or reach out to him if you want to know where and when. Or
on the Facebook group. Central Texas Meetup, Drone Meetup.
Perfect. It's really fun. It's such a great place. As a matter of fact, Chris, can you throw up the picture for us? This is kind of what Kai and I looked like the other day flying out there. If you haven't seen the video of the ZMO FPV fixed wing, which is VTOL as well, you really got to check that out. We're going to talk about it later, so let's not jump in too much, but Kai's a big fan.
Spoiler alert, no water towers get hurt in the making of that video.
No dogs, no small children. Chris only sustained minor injuries when Kai ran into him.
He needed that.
Yeah. But all of that said, I did want to play another FPV video real quick. It's the FPV chase, and let's just pull that up without sound. And I want you guys to see this real quick. So Kai was actually not here this day. This was out at the Austin aero nuts field. And what was going on is we were doing our first flight with the ZMO, and I was just waiting for the battery to recharge because we had run down the first battery because we flew it too long in vertical mode, like in quadcopter mode, and it's actually a tricopter because it's only three blades. But then as I'm flying along, I noticed that Chris is starting to do some fancy stuff. He's flying under those tables, those workbench tables, and he's like nailing it. He's just like zipping through them every time. And so I was like, should I? Now, Kai, you're familiar with Chris's confidence meter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know his confidence meter, but you trying to copy him, I would have liked to seen that.
Well, you're about to, because what happened is he had ripped through these tables a couple of times, and so I decided I'd give it a shot. And here goes my first attempt going through the tables. And these are pretty low to the ground. And I was right behind him, and I don't know if you saw that, but I almost clipped him. And he almost clipped me in that spot, and then boom, crash right there. So anytime you see these videos where people are doing FPV really well, there's a lot of crashes involved. This is number 2.
There's a lot of editing involved.
There's a lot of editing involved, for sure, especially in my videos. So there you go. I got through, but I wasn't behind Chris that time, so I thought I'd give it another shot here. And this one, okay, that wasn't too bad either. Getting a little better. Confidence meter's going up. And guys, if you are getting into flying FPV, I can say that the only way you're going to get better is just to try smaller and smaller gaps every single time. So zipping through here, and boom, another crash.
Nailed it.
This, by the way, was a Gep RC. This is a Gep RC Cinemark 30. And here I am right behind him. Oh, didn't quite make it. Coming up on the really good one. All right, here we go. This was the one I think where we actually nailed it. He comes around, goes in, and I'm right on him here. And now Chris he's a speed demon, so you really gotta if you ever fly with this guy, just put the pedal to the metal throttle wise, and boom, finally nailed it. What'd you think of that, Kai?
That was pretty good.
It's pretty good, huh? Now, in fairness too, this is a pretty small ducted quad. So, and of course then what happens when you do something really cool? You press your luck and you try to do it again.
Yep.
And then what happens? That's the moment when you crash. So, Mark, if you could kill that video. So just wanted to show you guys a little behind the scenes, having some fun. And again, that's while we were waiting for batteries to charge, which is something you end up doing a lot of with these fixed wings because they're big 5,000 milliamp hour batteries. But guess who is in the house now? While we were doing all that, he joined us.
The man.
The man.
Myth, the legend.
Yes, we've got Jason here. Jason, thanks for joining. How are you, man?
What's happening, guys? How are you? So good to see you all
Hey,
today.
good evening.
Hey, we're doing great. We're super glad you joined us. How are things? Are you in Florida right now?
I am in Florida right now. It's 84 degrees. We went to the beach yesterday. I mean, we're not, FPV flying experts like you all are, but it's way warmer here. So,
well, you've heard that we're having another pretty cold time in Texas, but this time, unlike last year, the power hasn't gone out. So we got that going for us.
Oh, or no 6 inches of snow either.
No 6 inches of snow. But I did make one mistake. I was going out to get in my car this morning because it was finally starting to clear out, and the door was literally, I parked outside, the door was literally frozen shut. And that's, as a Texan, and I'm sure you as a Floridian, that's not something you really have to deal with. But it took some scraping and then some yanking to get that door open.
My first year in college, I went to Bridgewater State College in Massachusetts and quit after that because it was just way too cold for flying, for functioning, for everything. I remember being from Florida, I took a shower, walked right outside with my hair wet, and it froze.
Yeah.
And that's not something I was prepared for when you live in Florida your whole life.
You weren't down for the frozen hair.
Nah, I wasn't into that. So we went right back to Florida.
I have a friend who it's a woman. She lived in Alaska when she was growing up, and she said one time they would swim in a heated pool, but it was outdoors, and then they'd have to run from the pool to the locker room. And she got out of the pool, was running to the locker room, and on the way, somebody reached over, and her hair was kind of sticking out, and broke her hair off. She said
No
it
way.
froze so quickly it broke. That may be, I don't know. It's a good story, whether it's true or not.
Is that your story too?
Yeah.
That's what happened to Kelly.
Well, so Jason, this is Kai. I don't know if you've ever met Kai. He was not at Spin Up in 2019 when you were there, but he knows you.
Jason.
He seems like a great guy.
Kai is, well, he's a guy. He's
Maybe not a great one, apparently, but
he's actually the guy who helps me fix my drones when they're broken. So that's a good guy to know.
When they're broken.
Kai's busy then.
Yeah, well, I got a big pile of
broken drones to look at.
Yeah.
I got some new flight controllers on order. So Jason, for those of you that don't know, I think most of you do, but I'm repping the shirt tonight. He is.
I like it. You are the remote pilot.
I
commander,
couldn't
my
wrap
friend. You
the
look
shirt
good.
because they were making grown-up sizes.
Hey,
Well,
maybe.
it's the muscles, Kai. If your muscles weren't so big, we could send you a shirt too.
So Remote Pilot 101, just tell us real quick about that and M0A and what you do.
Sure. So Remote Pilot 101 is a product of M0A, and we're the largest provider of Part 107 test prep. But it's not just Part 107 test prep, because what we're finding, and I know we'll talk about a little bit later today, is so many of our Part 107 are unmanned remote pilots go on then to become manned pilots thereafter. So it's a fun transition. Basically, we do all the FAA test preparation from you want to fly a drone to you aspire to be an airline pilot one day. We do all the test prep, knowledge prep. And as you know this very well, Kelly, it's not just pass the test and good luck. It's the real world prep. It's when Kelly and Kai are out there flying FPV and, this manned aircraft comes into here, or there's bird, whatever it is, it's that real world prep that we're really after teaching everybody.
And in all sincerity, before I had ever even met Jason several years back, I took his class, and that's how I passed the 107. And I remember actually going into the testing center, being a little nervous, and thinking, okay, I got this. I watched your class all the way through twice. I did flashcards. I did all this stuff.
Right.
And then at the end of the test, I honestly thought I had aced it. I thought I had gotten every question right, and I got a 90. And it was a couple of questions, those ones where it could be this or it could be that. I mean, they trip you up, and Jason does a great job, at least a 90% great job, right? Of explaining.
Right. I mean, if we can get
questions.
Kelly a 90%, imagine what we can do for others. That's how.
Yeah, exactly. If I can get a 90, that's a really good one.
Well, I ought to pass it too then.
Yeah, well,
I'm actually
Exactly.
signed up for his class too.
Oh, you are.
Nice.
So the big thing though, guys, is ultimately whether you're planning to go on and become a pilot or whether you just want to fly for fun, just having that knowledge, it really is nice to just be able to say with authority, yes, I know this to be the fact and this is the rule, and so it's
Sure.
It's great to have that confidence. And then the certificate, the actual card you get is really cool.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's a pilot's license. It's not a manned pilot's license, but it's a UAV pilot's license, and it's the real deal.
Yeah, well, it's about the only cockpit I fit into.
So
I mean, Jason, you're familiar with airplanes. Which airplane would you think a 7-foot guy would fit in?
You need like a Cessna 182 or a 206 or something big. Are you really 7 feet?
I tear out a couple of seats and sit in the back.
He is.
I think you're gonna have to sit in the back. I'm 6'4", and it's a tight little squeeze for me certainly in a 150 and a little bit in a Cessna 172. So yeah, you're gonna have to sit in the back and put your feet on one foot on each rudder pedal, kind of sit in the back in the middle.
Well, actually, I had to fly charter, and I was on one of those smaller airplanes, and the pilot looks at me and like, you go first because I need you to sit right there.
Yes.
So you don't screw up my center of gravity.
Then he put all the luggage on the other side.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, so I got some questions, and
Sure.
I think most of them you've heard before, but these are questions that I see coming up a lot between people that I talk to, and then there's a couple in here that I honestly don't know the answer to, and I was just curious to hear your thoughts. But before we start, I did get one quick question from Mac 28L, And
Yeah.
Mac
282.
Sorry, 282. Mac asked if you ever thought that they would allow you to do the actual Part 107, the initial Part 107, remotely or online. Do you think that's...
I was waiting, and I saw that. I saw that question earlier. He mentioned he was disabled. It was 100 miles away. I saw that question earlier. I thought, what a great question. Thank you for bringing it up, Kelly. I thought with COVID, perhaps they may, and we're certainly moving forward with this idea of some self-proctoring or remote proctoring, I'll say, but the test does need to be proctored. However, we can do remote proctored SATs and ACT tests, and you went through that, Kelly, right? With having one in college and everything else, it's like to prep for that and then go off to the proctored test and everything else with your little one that's a big one now.
Yep.
I hope they would work towards something like that, but as it stands right now, no. And I'll tell you a reason behind that. A large part of our business is over in Europe and Asia as well. There is only, you want a great monopoly of a business, there's only one FAA testing center. There's one in London and there's one in Paris, and that's it for Europe. So if you, let's say we call them snowbirds. I don't know if Texas has snowbirds or not, but they come to Florida for the wintertime. They'll leave Europe, or they're 6 months on, 6 months off. They want to have their Part 107. They want to study and do everything in Europe. They need to physically come here to actually take the test to do it. The same is true in manned aviation as well. Remote proctoring would really open that up. Unfortunately, PSI, that's how you did your test through,
right.
They have the FAA contract, and that's just, they do remote proctoring for other exams, but not quite yet for our aviation exams. I hope to see that sometime in the future, though. It'd be a big game changer for us.
And the fact that they did make the recurrent remote, and I watched, I did watch some of your new content about the recurrent, and the fact that it's designed so that you will pass it. There's still a lot to learn in there, but ultimately, I guess getting back to the original question for Mac 282. That just seems like, unfortunately, for the first time, you're going to have to go in. That's just part of that's the ante to play, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, you're exactly right.
But okay. Well, here's the questions that we came up with and wanted to talk to you about. And just to be respectful of your time, I know we had planned about 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
You're perfect. You're perfect. Okay. Don't you worry about it.
So we wanted to talk about. There's been videos made about this, and there's been conversation about this, and I know that you can certainly make a video where you say fly 800 feet legally, or whatever, because of this law. But the buildings and towers at 400 feet over those things, what's the deal with that? Is a Part 107 required to be able to do that? Or can recreational pilots do that too? And then do you have any rules of thumb for safety? Because I know for me, I've done it. I've flown over something that's really tall and flown higher than the object, and within 400 feet of that top of that object. But it's really high at that point, and I get a little nervous.
Right.
What do you think?
Sure. Well, there's visual line of sight that comes into play and a bunch of other factors there. So there's a regulation on this, obviously 107.51. In code of federal regulations 107, where we keep talking about earning your Part 107, so that'll answer our last question here in a second. Under 107.51, we know we can't fly higher than 400 feet unless it says, and by the way, that's 400 feet above ground level.
Right. AGL.
So do keep that in mind. We're not measuring from sea level, MSL. This is AGL, above ground level. As long as it's flown with, you can go above 400 feet. If it's for the purpose of, like you said, inspecting a tower, looking at the rooftop of a skyscraper, whatever that is, as long as you're within a 400-foot radius of the structure, and structure is a key word in the regulation because the FAA doesn't define structure. I know that sounds weird,
mountain,
but
right?
Lawyers would have a heyday with something like that, without them defining that.
Well, let's say I needed to fly over Kai.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, to get up 7 feet, and then just to clear him, and to clear his big brain too. I mean, that's a tough one. So that's how I look at it.
Thin air up there.
Very thin air.
So the structures are loosely defined, but let's use your example about a rooftop of a 10-story building.
Yep. We can't go 400 feet higher from the highest limit of that building. So that building has a lightning rod on top of it, right? So we need to figure out the altitude of that lightning rod, and then we can go 400 feet above that. However, what airspace is above me? Because just because I can go up to 800 feet, what airspace would I then be entering in? What if I'm underlying some Class Charlie airspace or a shelf of some other airspace? That could
upside down
exactly. Airspace is three-dimensional. That could very well put me into Class Echo airspace as well, which is controlled airspace. So just because the reg says, oh, I'm inspecting this tower, that doesn't give you permission to go up into the airspace as well. Now, I understand the logic that people say, Jason, if an airplane's within 400 feet of a building's roof or a tower, top of a tower, we've got worse problems. I totally agree with that logic, but the FAA owns that airspace. They're protecting it for a reason as well. So yes, you can do that. Be mindful and just always be thinking of what airspace does this push me into. You asked, do I have to have my Part 107? Well, that regulation is in Part 107. It's 107.51. So yes, and another reason for someone who's sitting on the fence saying, I'm a hobbyist right now, I don't need to, I don't want to get my Part 107. This is another, we'll call it privilege to a Part 107 certificated pilot.
So a hobbyist is not allowed to go 400 feet over a building? They wouldn't have any reason to.
No, you wouldn't think they would have any reason to. You're right, but no, a hobbyist, because a hobbyist is held under different rules and regulations. And people think a hobbyist isn't held under rules and regulations. They absolutely are held under rules and regulations. But this is a Part 107 rule and regulation. So, and again, all the more reason to get certificated with that.
Nice.
Yeah, you just disappointed a whole bunch of people in San Antonio.
Yeah, that tower in San Antonio.
The Tower of America is in open airspace, and people keep insisting on flying up that thing.
I bet.
Yeah, it's tall. It's tall.
Saying, well, we got 400 feet over the structure. Hmm.
So the next question has to do with night flying.
Yes.
There's been some changes to the laws and to the requirement for waivers and stuff like that. Can you just give us the 1 minute version of flying at night for a 107 or a hobbyist?
Sure. So we can fly at night now. Thank you, FAA, for doing something, helpful and nice with that. We can talk about remote ID later because I know everyone's mad about remote ID. But yes, flying at night. So in addition to flying at night, our recurrent test is now essentially free other than the time it takes to do it. So the recurrent, you're going to go to FAAsafety.gov and you're going to take ALC 677 is the name of the actual test. Once you take that, you unlock the night flying privileges. However, you're still held to the same regulations. I have to have my anti-collision lights that can be seen from 3 statute miles. They have to be operational. So my drone still needs to be equipped for night flight. But after taking that ALC 677 on the FAAsafety.gov website, I can now go fly at night. Even, and this is important too, Kelly, let's say you don't expire, it's February right now, you don't expire till August.
Yeah, I was about to ask
recurrent.
that question. What if you're still on your original test?
Yeah, it would behoove you, right? It would benefit you greatly, even though you don't expire until August, to go take it now. It doesn't cost you any money. It's just gonna take a little bit of your time. Go take that ALC 677 test on the FAA website. Yes, you're renewing in February, but you've just now unlocked night flying potential, no more daylight waiver, which is really, really nice.
Well,
just something else to ponder.
Just out of curiosity, I had this experience recently. My car inspection sticker, and I think it's different for different states, but do you have inspection stickers in Florida?
We do not.
Okay, well here we have to get our car inspected every year. My inspection sticker expired, and I waited 2 months to get it to renew it, just because I honestly didn't see it. Like that was August and now it's October. And so back in the old days, if you did that, you would get an inspection sticker for the month you actually did it. So I would have if I did it in October, I'd have until October again. Now they actually only give you the inspection sticker through the original expiration. So I guess my question is, as it applies to this, if you take your reoccurrent early, do you get the full 2 years from that point, or what?
It's the new date. So you take it today, it's February 4th. Guess what? February 4th, 2 years. Well, it's technically a calendar, so it'd be depending if it's a leap year. February 28th, the end of February. You have to go and take your recurrent test from there. So you're losing the time, but man, to gain the night flying without having to do a daylight waiver is huge.
Well, and the recurrent is so much less of a hassle than it used to be that to get those privileges. Kyle, you want to ask the next question, number 3?
What are the latest regulations for flying over people?
Sure. So now, as the new rulemaking came out, yes, we can fly over people. I'm going to say sort of, in a way. It depends on the category. So we're now breaking drones down into 4 categories. The categories are based on, if I hit something, how bad is it going to hurt? Like if Kai hit me in football, it's going to hurt really bad. Whereas if someone much smaller hit me, it's not going to hurt as bad.
He carries
Kai,
the
you'd be
big
a category
cameras. He's
4
the drone that
by
can
the
carry
way.
the big
so
red camera.
Yeah, it's all about the mass. I copied this down, Kelly and Kai. I want to read this to you. This is classic FAA, and it's a little bit much, but listen to this. It says, Category 2 small unmanned aircraft must not cause injury to a human being that is equivalent to or greater than the severity of injury caused by the transfer of 11 foot-pounds of kinetic energy, because we all just know what 11 foot-pounds of kinetic energy looks and feels like, upon impact of a rigid object, and does not contain any exposed rotating parts that could lacerate human skin upon impact with a human being. And again, these categories go through based on how bad is it going to hurt me when it hits me, is what it really comes down to. And certain categories, and these drones are all going to fall into categories, can and cannot fly over people. So it all depends on categories.
What are most like Mavic size or Evo size drones, camera drones? Where would they fall? Non-ducted.
That's the thing you got to think about. So how it reads is, does not contain any exposed rotating parts. So your mind and my mind went in the same place. That's got to be a ducted engine. Does a prop guard count for that? I don't know all those answers just yet. I don't think the FAA knows all those answers just yet, honestly, anyways, on that. But let's say if it was ducted, a Mavic's going to fit into like a category 2. To give you perspective, I had to look it up. 11 foot-pounds of kinetic energy is like getting hit with a dodgeball thrown by a kid. Not thrown by Kai, but thrown by a kid.
Wow. So it's not a lot. I mean, they're being very conservative with their what they think can hurt you.
Wouldn't that make mosquitoes outlaws?
You mean because they hit the car so hard?
Yeah.
So the big thing here, I guess, is like for instance, I actually am hoping. I have a friend who owns a restaurant here in town, and am talking about doing a fly-through in his restaurant with a FPV.
Cool.
But it's a pretty small. Sub 250 gram, maybe over 250 with a camera on it. But it's carrying the little Caddx Peanut, or not the Caddx, the Insta360 Peanut. So that would be the category that is okay to fly over people. Is that correct?
Yeah, but think about it this way, Kelly. You're now inside.
Yeah.
Right.
Now you're inside, and you was involved people.
Yeah, you're inside now. The FAA doesn't have jurisdiction inside. How do you think they get away with all these? Did you see the really good the Home Depot fly through and all these sort of things?
No,
like
I haven't seen
all these big companies doing those cool FPV fly throughs. You're inside. Like Part 107 doesn't regulate indoors.
So yeah, I guess that's also how, like when I've seen some DRL events, they've been able to fly. I mean, they have a net up, but they're still, these are big, fast drones that are flying around. So, okay, well, that's good to know. Then the next question was, and this is one that comes up all the time, is it okay to fly over a road when there's no traffic? And by that, I mean 2 scenarios. One would be maybe following a car if you're on a quiet, isolated road, or 2, just crossing a busy road to get to a place, but making sure that there's no traffic at the moment when you cross over.
Sure. Let me think. Following the car's a participant in it, and you're not over the car anyways, you're following the car, that's perhaps fine. This all comes down to pilot and command responsibility, and do you have the visual observers to support it? So the theory is there's no traffic on the road. Did a visual observer confirm that for me? My mind just always goes, what if there was an accident? The FAA is going to say, how did you cover your butt, Jason? Well, I had a visual observer that taught me just like my mother did. Look left, look right before I crossed the road. And yeah, we are going over the road like that. My visual observer says, okay, I'm pilot command. I have that responsibility. And I confirm that as well. Yes, now if it's in standstill traffic, no, we can't do that. If there's cars zipping by, no, we can't do that. Not with non-participants, you have to remember.
Right. So the person, if you're chasing a car that is, like you're doing it for a commercial or something like that, then okay.
They're participating. You can't just go, chase cars just to chase cars, just to be clear.
So number 5, do you want to ask this one, Kai? And I'll admit this is something that I do all the time, and I think a lot of
only you would come up with ideas like that.
All right. Well, ask the question. Number 5.
Is it legal for one pilot to park a camera/GPS drone in the air and then operate a second drone, assuming that both drones are within VLOS at all times?
It sounds good on paper, and thank you for sending me this one ahead of time because I wanted to look it up. So I ended up in 107.35, which reads a person. We're not going to add a name there, Kelly. Don't worry. Just a person. It's generic.
Okay.
A person may not manipulate the flight controls or act as the remote pilot in command or visual observer in operation of more than one unmanned aircraft at the same time. You need a waiver to waive that regulation. Now, the thing is, if it's you and Kai, hey Kai, you're the remote pilot command of this drone. I know it's just basically in tripod mode sitting here right now while I go fly this one, but no, you cannot operate two at the same time.
Okay. So you need at least as many people there as you have drones in the air. I mean, that's probably a good.
And pay attention to the verbiage too, because remember, there's 3 types of people. There's the remote pilot command, there's the person manipulating the controls, and there's a visual observer. Those are the 3 overarching themes they give us in the 107 regulations. They didn't say person manipulating the controls. They just said Kelly cannot be the remote pilot command for multiple drones at the same time.
But he's got a split personality.
Well, that's we all know that. That's very accurate.
And you know when I do break the rules, I always wear this shirt, Jason. So
you know what? Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. They say any press is good press.
Right. Well, no. So that's good to know. Actually, generally, one of my themes on the channel is "Don't Fly Alone," and so it fits well into that theme of "Don't Fly Alone." So there you go.
Yeah, but you're referring to me, myself, and I.
Right. Well, I got you and Chris most of the time. All right. Next question. If you complete your Part 107, approximately how much of your manned ground school have you completed? Because I love to, this is one I use at parties and with my wife all the time. I'm a 25% manned air pilot. Don't you? She says you're 25% a lot of things.
You take it a step further. You are a third. You are 33% a manned aircraft pilot. I was looking at that one today. So think about it this way. You learned METARs, you learned TAFs, you learned airspace, you learned some aerodynamics in there. You had to learn radio communications, sectional charts. I mean, other than the actual, and there was even some weather in there as well, the formation of weather. Other than airplane aerodynamics and other than FAA regulations and some, flight planning for long trips and stuff, you're there. And one of our greatest lead sources with Remote Pilot 101 to M0A.com, our manned aviation brand, is becoming a remote pilot. I tell people you are just a heartbeat away from passing the manned aviation test. And it's really that similar. And I find that I used to say kids who fly video games and play flight simulator were some of my best students. Now it's those that fly drones because they understand flight characteristics. They understand how to operate in and around the airspace. They can look at a chart. They can read a METAR real quick. We throw them in an airplane. They've already got the knowledge. It's just the raw skill of flying that comes to them relatively quickly. So I would say you're 1/3 of the way there, Kelly. So next time you're at a cocktail party, I just make you tell everybody.
My party trick just got like 5% better.
Yeah.
So number 7, I want to ask as well, because this has happened to me more than once. Actually, there's a Class G airspace where I fly with Kai pretty regularly between here and San Antonio. you know, and that it's near a lake, and there's some tourist helicopters and boats that go over that lake. And then there's also the St. Lawrence River, which I go to. My wife's parents have a house up there, and you know, it's right on the river. And sometimes you get these pontoon planes flying, you know, 50 feet off the water, right through the middle there.
Oh yeah.
What's the deal? I mean, I guess
Sure.
it's really just kind of like, I've been freaked out by those things, and now I have a very good ear for hearing helicopters or hearing a manned aircraft. Sometimes there'll be a boat that sounds like a manned aircraft, and I'm like, oh, I've got to bring it in, you know, and then it's just a boat. But what's your take on that as far as aircraft flying extremely low, and how do you avoid problems?
Yep. So there's 3 parts to our regulation, manned aviation, to how low we can fly, with the exception of obviously takeoff and landing. This is just flying around stuff. And this does not apply to helicopters. I'll get to helicopters in a second. So it's just something else. This is just fixed wing aircraft. So over what the FAA calls a other than congested area, again, you can imagine the lawyers that wrote this, it's 500 feet above the ground. Over a congested area, a city or some populace, right, is 1,000 feet. However, they have this anywhere category. And how it reads is an altitude allowing if the power unit fails, if our engine quits, an emergency landing without undue hazards to person or property on the surface is what would happen. So I can fly anywhere as low as I wish, as long as if my engine quits, I'm not going to hurt anybody. They don't care about me if I get hurt, but if I don't hurt anybody else. So when you wonder, how are they buzzing the beach at 50 feet? How are they buzzing down the river at 50 feet? Well, that's their own risk. As long as they are not harming other people in the process, they're able to do that. Now, these rules, this 500-foot rule, this 1,000-foot rule that I was sharing earlier, that does not apply to helicopters. Helicopters, they're allowed to do whatever they want, not whatever they want, but not causing harm to anybody on the ground. Same is true for powered parachutes, weight shift controlled. That's like a trike and those sort of things as well.
What about in military, I suppose, too? Because
oh, wow.
we're near Fort Drum up there, and sometimes you get military helicopters and aircraft, fixed wings flying over, so they can do whatever they want, kind of, right?
Kinda is a relative term, but yes, they're still regulated and everything else. And remember, back to when you learned, they have their military operations areas, their restricted areas where they should be doing their training. Obviously, they're going to transition quite a bit as well. Just something else you have to be mindful of. So, yes, next time you're out there flying the beach, which always seems like a great place. I mean, banner towers, all these different aircraft can just come and go down the beach, those around the lake, whatever that may be. So you really have to be mindful of that. And then people forget the obvious ones too, like flying near the hospital. And if you have an airlift unit or something like that, and it gets dispatched, right?
Yeah.
So those are the things you got to think about.
Funny, well, not funny, but relevant story. I actually just was hired by a local hospital system to do drone shots of 7 hospitals in the area. And we had to do that. We had to basically be in touch with their dispatchers. You know, if anything was coming in or coming in. Really, they don't keep an aircraft there. But I had that very same thing. Was, you know, where's the landing pad? Okay, here's and basically it was, if someone was coming in, they were going to call the person who was with me, my client, the marketing person, or the visual observer, and call that person to make sure. Okay, they'll be here in 5 minutes. You better bring it in. So
that is so cool.
Had to deal with that very thing with that. So those were kind of all the questions we had. Kai did have one additional question, and then we wanted to show you a quick video, and then we'll let you go. Are you good for another 5 minutes?
Man, I got time. I'm good.
Okay, cool. So Kai and Chris, can you bring up that graphic?
Well, you just came up was the flying at the beach. Now, this is the beach here in Texas, Port Aransas. And you see that AE-632 Bravo restriction? It's the very first one.
Let me get it here.
He's got the
delay. It's not popping up on the Zoom. I'm getting it to catch up on YouTube real quick.
It's not going to be on the Zoom. It should be on the screen in a minute. But
I got it now. Yep, I got it now. It's just a little lag between when we talk. All right, so I see it. So review active advisories, a complaint operation, special use airspace. Yeah, so A632 Bravo, that's an alert area. Let me pull it up over here for you too. A632 Bravo. Where's this near?
This is near Port Aransas, Texas.
Okay. So first off, you can fly in an alert area. It is simply just alerting you of something. We have alert areas in South Florida for concentrated flight training. I can look this one up real quick and see what it actually is. I got my phone right here. I'll look it up on ForeFlight now and tell you.
That there is a military...
Well, there's a naval air station nearby.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder too if that's the kind of thing. I mean, that's not like a NOTAM.
No. It's an alert area. It's an alert area. Yeah. What's the airport identifier near it? I can't get to pull it by the alert. Do you know the airport identifier?
I didn't look it up by airport identifier.
Well, is the bottom line though is that it isn't
KRAS.
It isn't a place where you can't fly. It's just a place that you should be alerted.
I got it here. I saw the Mustang Beach there.
Yeah, Mustang Beach, KRAS.
Yeah, I got it right here. Okay. I'm looking at it. Yeah, all that is an alert area. It is alerting you of helicopter activity. And here you go. It says, let's see how well this works. This is a funny one. Can you read that? Concentrated student jet training. Who wouldn't want to be a student jet pilot? Like that sounds exciting to me. Right. Student jet training. How do I sign up for that? I'm very interested.
Well, you get one of those. You get one of those little yellow cards that says, driver on board or
student pilots on the back of your F-15.
Right. Wow.
So yeah, if you don't want to get hit by a student jet pilot, just stay out of there. You can legally fly in it though, just warning you of what's happening in there or alerting you. I'm sorry.
So Kai also had come up, sent me a video. Mark, you got that? It's video number 4. We want to show this to you real quick and see if you saw this, and we're going to make a few comments on it, and then we'll let you go. But go ahead and play that for us, Mark. And then if you can bring the audio down and let us talk. So this is on YouTube, and it's put out by the FAA, and it's basically it's on their official channel. Just drones aren't allowed at the Super Bowl kind of thing.
I mean, it's catchy music for starters.
Has that NFL game day feeling, but
yeah.
I suspect that this may be something of a CYA thing for them. We didn't do nothing. We put out this snazzy commercial. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, my first thought is how much money went in to produce this thing with these 3D animations and everything else. I get it, and you know what, they are trying. They're trying to do a good job, and I appreciate that. I'd be curious how many people actually watch this, and do you know where this is getting played at or anything like that?
This is actually off of their YouTube channel.
Yeah, if you go to the FAA's YouTube channel, it's on there. And I think as of this afternoon, it had like 500 and something views. And I think
told you that
40 of them were us.
I'm thankful for it. It's great. They also, have you ever seen Buzzy the drone? I think is his name. But yeah, like Buzzy. Like it's a little cartoony and everything else, but you know what, if it alerts people, that's great. I think the best we can do is just be mentors to others. So I was making funny at the beginning that we were at the beach yesterday, and while we were at the beach yesterday though, there was 2 kids flying a Mavic. And again, how do you go talk to somebody and not be like a total jerk about it? So you walk over, oh, what are you flying? What are you doing? And they're flying over people and everything else. And Magda and I just kind of spoke to them like, oh, so you guys have your Part 107. My part what? And they had no idea. But well, you really can't be flying over the people and everything else. You're welcome to fly out there and look for some sharks and everything else. Like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks. And just, I think we can be the best ambassadors for this amazing gift that we have in aviation. I'm thankful for Buzzy the drone. I'm thankful for all these Super Bowl, commercials. And I hope the FAA doesn't spend $1 million on it and run it during the Super Bowl, because that would be a poor use of our tax dollars. I think, Kelly and Kai and Jason and everybody in the chat right now, I think we just need to be ambassadors for this great, great hobby and great, great profession that we have.
And it is a privilege, you know. It's just like a driver's license, you know. It can be taken away and also I think the few can ruin it for the many, right? And so we've got to be the many that just outdo the few by doing the right things. And no, Jason, great to have you on tonight. Thank you for answering those questions. Really, I mean, like I said, several of them were ones that I really wanted to know. So you answered them very completely. If anybody has not already checked out Remote Pilot 101, at least his YouTube channel, there's a ton of free content out there on the YouTube channel that you put out that allows people to learn things. But if you take the class, if you sign up for the class, you know, like me, you've got it for life. It isn't that right, Jason? It's
you're exactly right.
He doesn't want $25 a year or anything like that. It's just you pay for it once, and then you've got it for the long term, and you can take it. And again, don't dismiss the recurrent as being something to blow off, because ultimately, while it isn't difficult, there's a lot of information in there that you should stay current about, and you know, things like night flying and stuff like that. So, Kai, any final? You gonna ask him to change your grade on his class?
Well, the grade on his class don't matter. I need to get the grade changed. Sorry, folks. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Well, again, thank you so much, Jason. And
but I just got one more question.
Oh yeah, sorry.
What about that Jacob guy that crashed his plane up there in Alaska? You got any thoughts on that?
You know,
the guy that jumped out of his plane.
I know. He's going to get some letters, if I had to guess. He's going to get some letters from you. Again, did he cause harm to people? I don't know. He ruined a perfectly good classic airplane. That's like crashing a classic car. That broke my heart a little bit, all for a lot of YouTube videos and some publicity and everything else. I have a funny feeling he's going to get some talking to from the FAA, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit in trouble.
Yeah, and he killed some trees, man.
Yeah. We could have started a fire. He could have done so many things.
Jason
like that.
Got to hear all about this dude already.
Yeah. They're calling you like somehow it's your fault, man. You pilots. Well, Jason, again, thank you so much. Really appreciate you being on. I learned a lot. And again, guys, if you haven't already checked out Remote Pilot 101, just the YouTube channel, that's a good place to start. I mean, really, so much knowledge there if you want to know it. So, Jason, we'll let you go. Have a great evening. Enjoy your 75 or 80 degree weather, and we'll keep the coats on.
Yes, sounds good, guys. We'll see ya.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
All right. Well, that was very cool. Thank you to everyone who stuck through and sent in questions and all that. And thank you again to Jason for answering the questions so completely. I mean, honestly, I wasn't left asking anything.
That's what his classes are like too.
Yeah, they are. As I said, I watched all of them for the original test twice, all the way through, and learned. It's like watching some series like Game of Thrones. You could watch the whole thing, and then you watch it again, and you're like, oh, I understand this thing I didn't understand the first time, you know? Oh, this person's related to this person. So that said, I wanted to switch over back to FPV mode, Kai. That's
back
your
to
favorite
FPV
thing, right?
mode. Yeah, FPV is much better than.
So I want to tell you that you're a good friend of Kai's when he shares his secret flying locations with you. So far, he's shared two with me, and both of them are awesome. One of them was where the meetup is. So if you come to the meetup in February the 20th, right?
Yep.
You said?
February.
If you come February 20th, you'll get to fly in, I think, one of the coolest places to fly ever, because it's in a valley. It's surrounded by trees, huge open fields. That you're kind of sheltered from the wind. I mean, what are some other good attributes there? Nobody bugs you.
Well, it's 75 acres of soccer fields, football fields, and baseball fields.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of elbow room to fly, and if you're not quite sure about something, you can test it out. If you crash, you're not going to be in somebody else's backyard.
You're basically going to be in the middle of the field, and then Kai sends you out to get it. That said,
now there is a river around it, so
yeah, you don't want to crash in there. The other thing that you the other place that Kai has taken a few of us recently is, and I'm waiting for Mark because I got a video roll, is a place that is very surprising. It's right in the middle of an office complex. It's an office complex where Kai actually used to work, right?
Yep.
When he lived in Austin, and it is it's really cool to fly at. Can we take a look at a little bit of that video? So tell us what we're seeing here.
This is basically an old historic farmhouse and barn that they maintain. I'm guessing when they developed that piece of property, that house that you see right there is an old historic farmhouse, ranch house, whatever. And I'm guessing when they developed that property, the historic people made them maintain it.
And probably couldn't tear it down. You know, it was something that they said, you know, this is a historical building, so you can't tear it down. So typically we fly 4S quads around there. And Kai, and here's where I went down. I hit that post. All right, you can dump out of that, Mark, please.
Crash.
Kai built a 6S Catalyst Machine Works, a tiny little 6S, like a 4-inch 6S, right?
4-inch.
And he let me fly it. And what happened when I took off?
Well, flying would be really a stretch because that thing just went straight up in the tree.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you just give it a tiny bit of throttle and just. But once I got it under control, it is such a blast. Tell us a little bit about that quad, because I'm a big fan of it.
Well, it's just a Catalyst Machine Works Shocker 4-inch. I was going to build it as a 3.5-inch, and then I decided to put 4-inch props on it after all. Diatone Mumble motors, little J-Ham flight controller, nothing special.
But the power to weight ratio is pretty insane, and even the batteries are called the FAF batteries, and I'll let you guess what that stands for, but they say FAF on them.
Fast S, and then the last F you just go out to complete
whatever
yourself.
you think it's going to be. So we've had some fun flying at that constrained space with 4S's, but then we've also had a lot of fun flying out at the big field, and just recently we flew out there with the ZMO VTOL, and I want to show you a little bit of footage from that, if we could take a look at video 6. So this is me taking off. Am I able to talk over this? Okay. And then that's Kai flying the VTOL, and I'm chasing him with the Synolog 35 from GetRC, and I've got the DJI Action 2 camera on it. And you can see we both kind of have our own style with the goggles. But Kai was flying FPV on this thing. What do you think about it, this VTOL? I just put a video out about it.
I absolutely love this thing. It's so easy to fly. The only thing is, the throttle control. You don't have full throttle control on it anymore.
Basically, it goes 12 meters per second at its slowest. That's as slow as you can go with it, which is 27 miles an hour.
27 miles an hour. But, I mean, you just leave the throttle off and you just fly it on the right stick, meaning aileron turns and elevator for up and down. I didn't even use the rudder.
But the coolest thing is it comes with a FPV, an air unit, a digital air unit.
It's got the air unit in it, and it records to the air unit, 1080p, 60 frames per second.
Although, did you see any of that footage? It is kind of shaky looking. It's not very smooth.
I'm not surprised. We had a lot of crosswind on that field that day.
Yeah, but it's just a blast.
I mean, you can see it in the flags. At one point, you can see them, but I mean, just above the flags, it really start blowing hard on that plane. Actually, if you turn it into the wind, you could almost stall it out.
And this is the location where the meetup is going to be on the 20th. So, as I said, a big, pretty open space with in a valley, so you're able to kind of get down a little bit below the wind. So this thing also has GPS built into it. It's got a V-configured tail, which is unique, but at one point, you'll see it here in just a minute, Kai flipped it over into GPS mode, and what I thought was really cool is it didn't actually come home in tricopter mode, like didn't go vertical mode and come over like a quad or a tricopter. It actually flew over in fixed wing mode, and then when it got to the place where it was going to land, it transitioned. I wish, what I want to do, Kai, on the next time we fly it, I want to put the Peanut onto the wing and actually get a shot of those things transitioning in the air.
Yep.
I think that would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, there's still so much we need to explore with this thing. There's still.
Yeah, and check out this shot here. This is where he drops in right past the picnic tables. Oh, that was so cool. Thank you to Joe Blaylock, 1234, my man, Joe Blaylock. I actually have to tell you a quick story. Joe told me that he was wearing his Ready Set Drone shirt in LAX, I think. Joe, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but he was wearing a Ready Set Drone shirt in LAX, and somebody said, "Hey, are you the dude from Ready Set Drone?" And he said, "Yeah," punched him in the face and ran away. And so said, Kelly, I live in Texas. No, he didn't do that.
I'm here at the far end of the field, and now I'm going to click it into return to home.
And I'm watching it, and it's still in, I can't tell, is it gone to?
It's still in straight flight.
Yeah, it's still in.
It wobbled a good bit.
I wonder if it's trying to get closer before it switches. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's coming closer before it switches.
Yeah, because I don't know that if its
right.
battery's low, I don't know if it, oh, yeah.
Now she went in a...
There it goes. Wow. So it flew back fixed wing
Yep.
by itself, and then it switched when it got close. It didn't like switch and then try to come all the way back in vertical. That's awesome.
So there it was. It just came back, landed. I don't think it's super accurate in its landing, but
it's not a DJI,
but it's coming in close. So that was pretty cool.
But I mean, even on the landing, you still couldn't manipulate it and get it to come closer to you.
Yeah, you can. You can move it around, turn it upwind. It's a little clunky, but it's fun. So we're gonna wrap up here in just a few minutes. Got two more things I want to do before we wrap up. And by the way, don't forget that Fly Zone show is on later tonight, and as is Oz by Drone. Go check those two out. I think I might be getting into Oz by Drone's time here a little bit, but we're close. I wanted to just mention that we have a video tonight from Chris Hope, who always sends in the 2 minutes of hope. I thought this one was really cool. And then after we watch that video, we'll do Subscriber of the Month, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's check out 2 minutes of hope from Chris Hope.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today I'm going to take you to the Texas State Highway 120 bridge at the Brazos River. It's near the center of Young County, 15 miles northwest of the county seat of Graham, Texas, and 1.5 miles south and west of Newcastle. At the time of the construction, the bridge crossed a water feature known as the Salt Fork of the Brazos River, which is now considered the mainstream of the Brazos River. The bridge is approximately 430 feet south of the current U.S. Highway 380 bridge. The bridge features 5 identical steel truss spans, each with a web configuration of diagonal members that are in tension and vertical posts that are in compression. The bridge's top chords feature 7 slopes, in addition to 2 inclined end posts. The top chord of the truss is connected by 4 partial struts, 7 sway braces, 6 pairs of brace lateral. Each truss span is connected via riveted plates at each joint on the top and bottom chords. The deck is concrete and surfaced with asphalt, and the substructure consists of steel bottom chord. The highway bridge at 120 is a 5-span Parker through truss bridge. The bridge was constructed in 1932 and 33 to replace a 1908 cable suspension bridge, and it was destroyed by flooding in June of 1930. If you watched the movie The Highwaymen on Netflix, you've seen these 2 old Texas Rangers chasing Bonnie and Clyde across this bridge. It was featured in this film, The Highwaymen, on Netflix, starring Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson. They're actually crossing the Red River, but it's actually the Brazos River with this bridge. I always try to come see this bridge when I come up to Young County, and I hope y'all enjoy this video and a little bit of history on this thing. Thank y'all for watching.
Hey, Chris Hope, he's the man. And Ben T, you're the man too. Thank you very much for the super chat. Hope you can join us at the barn again soon, Ben. What'd you think of that bridge?
Well,
You said you'd
I
seen
hope
it?
you all paid attention because there's going to be a test later on all the trusses and structures.
Yeah. Which river is that? Which show was it on? No, Chris Hope, really appreciate you putting that together. If you haven't subscribed to Lone Star UAV, I think actually Bob Casey, I think, put a link in to Lone Star UAV, and Chris Hope. Go check out Chris Hope. If you just put in search for Chris Hope, you can see all the back episodes of 2 Minutes of Hope. It's great. I love him, so I appreciate it. What time is it now, Kai? So we're getting near the end.
Well, it's time for the announcement of the subscriber of the month.
Woo! Now,
I'm going to get to pass the baton, so to
that's
speak.
right. Kai actually was last month's subscriber of the month, and then the next day he got COVID, or maybe he had it when he was here. I don't know.
I think you gave it to me, actually.
Well, I didn't.
I was fine when I got here. The next day, forget it.
Fine. We'll put that in air quotes. But you did end up with a WoW stick.
Now I have a WoW stick.
What do you think of the WoW stick?
Well, I had one all along, but, well, never mind.
This one's small. It's a small one. It's a little electric driver. It's got a flashlight on it. It's magnetic. It works great. If you're taking quads apart, it makes it a much faster job. Although you don't want to do it too much because you can over-tighten things. But I just want to say congratulations to Kai. Congratulations to everyone who's been a Subscriber of the Month winner in the past. And just, these people are the ones that are just kind of really supporting the channel. Kai's been a big help on the channel, aside from, being on some videos with me now. But even before that, he's always been great in the chat, watched a lot of the live streams, commented regularly. And so the next person that I want to bestow that honor to and who will win some prizes is, you want to say it?
It's Leonard Oglesby.
Leonard Oglesby, you are the February Subscriber of the Month. Congrats. I don't know if I have your email, but Leonard, if you can just email me, Kelly at Ready Set Drone, and give me your info, I'll get your shirt size and some other stuff, and I will send you a prize package once I get all that info and your address. I do think you live in California. I've seen a couple of your videos. I actually subscribed today because I was watching some of your videos. So congrats, man.
Well, yeah, congratulations.
All right, so
does it mean I got to send them all your chunk drawer?
right. You got to send them the WoW stick. You don't get to keep the WoW stick. Come on, man. So all of that said, Jason really said it well, and this is how you can stay out of so much trouble when you are flying drones, and that is
don't fly alone.
All right. Have a good night. Mark, can you send us out with the Don't Fly Along song? Thanks, guys.
When I fly, I won't fly alone. I'm gonna fly with Ready Set Drone, 'cause Ready Set Drone will always fly with me. Flying fast and flying free, flying with friends is the life for me, 'cause Ready Set Drone is my community. Goggles and rotors and FPV, props and motors and ESCs, gimbals and cameras are what we use to fly. Sharing stories and swapping tales, amazing triumphs and epic fails. How will you know if you don't ever try? Ready, set, drone. Spin up your props and plug in your phone. Fly with us and we think you'll agree. Ready, set, drone. What's the point of flying alone? Flying with friends will make you feel so free. When I fly, I won't fly alone. I'm gonna fly with Ready, Set, Drone. 'Cause Ready, Set, Drone will always fly with me. Flying fast and flying free. Flying with friends is the life for me. 'Cause Ready, Set, Drone is my community. Ready, Set, Drone, Ready, Set, Drone. Spin up your props and plug in your phone. Fly with us and we think you'll agree. Ready, Set, Drone, Ready, Set, Drone. What's the point of flying alone? Flying with friends will make you feel so free. Flying with friends will make you feel so free. Flying with friends will make you feel so free.